everybody. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now, I apologize for being a bit late today. I made the very wise decision of upgrading to OS Catalina this week. I did a video earlier on, hopefully I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me first to be sure, because everything stopped working. Anyway, I upgraded to Catalina and everything stopped working. So, last week I did a video talking about how my iOS builds were crashing just because when to iOS 13 and the Xcode upgraded to Xcode 11 and then everything started crashing and it got embarrassing me telling clients that I could, it was kind of embarrassing telling clients that, you know, I don't know why I've stopped. Like I just, you know, I'm stalling them because I can't get it to build on my machine, which is just annoying. So I upgraded everything. I went through and upgraded Xcode. I upgraded to Catalina, thinking that might be nice. And a lot of the things I like about Catalina, it looks like a nice operating system, except lots of things just don't work. So throughout the week, I haven't been able to use Snagit, which is something I use all the time to send screenshots to my clients. But you guys can hear me. We can hear you. Cool. So like to send screenshots to my clients, I can't use Snagit because that's been crashing all week. And I know you could use on a Mac, you can use like it's something ridiculous like Shift Command 4, and then you can select it and all that stuff. But it just seems to be one of these roundabout things, and Snagit was just such an easy tool to use. And then of course, right before the live stream, like 10 minutes before, I think, okay, I got everything set up. I got all the lights set up and everything, and then OBS stops working. So I'm Googling that. I'm Googling how to, OBS is what I use for the streaming so I can share my screen. And right now, you may notice a little bit of flicker on the camera, which I've been trying to figure out too over the last few minutes. But that's because my webcam settings are not working. And so anyway, my apologies. Anyway, this is the live stream. Oh, let me know if it gets too annoying. We'll just stop it, and I'll give you a week to figure out what's going on. So anyway, this is our weekly live stream where we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. For me, it's been a busy week with, you know, I had clients. I did some networking this week. I had a few days. I had one day where I had no meetings, which was really cool. I was able to get some stuff done. I was able to film a few videos, work on a few things that I need to work on for the business, and it just felt nice just to not be rushed. I mean, it means, you know, I was trying to get the clients going. A lot of times it gets very stressful, and it was kind of nice just to relax a little bit. I mean, I didn't relax. I was working, but, you know, it's so much different working on stuff that you want to work on, right? Like, if you guys have your own apps, you know what it's, you know, when you're working on your own apps or your own company or your own marketing materials, dude, there's just not enough time. It seems like everything is like the day just runs out. And when you're working on stuff for other people or stuff that you're not so keen on, then it could be a lot more difficult, a lot more stressful. But anyway, let's just say Hussein Gokas, that you're the first one here. How's it going? Aiden first. James is second. Billy, hey Billy, how's it going? Billy, you got the coolest profile picture. You're like one of the few people who are actually in your profile picture. James, you're the third. Aiden Max said, also now a Flutter developer full time. Hey, congratulations, Aiden. We can hear you. Cool. So, Professional Sing, does anyone know the deal with Facebook interstitial ads? I always gets blocked. Please help me. Are you getting any kind of, are you saying they're just not showing up? Or are you saying that they can't, like, have you got a message from Facebook? Because they should be able to tell you something from it. Let's see. Rodrigo says Catalina uses ZSH by default. See, I needed you. Oh, Rodrigo, by the way, this is just between me and Rodrigo. Thanks for sending me that build earlier. Rodrigo's been working with us on some client projects, which is, you know, appreciated. Let's see. Biswajit's here. Hey, Biswajit. Professional Singh says, I've tried all kinds of placements. Even one placement at the end of the apps gets blocked. Nothing works. Have you looked at the terms and conditions? Because I don't think I've ever done an interstitial on Facebook ads. I've done AdMob, and I know that I've gotten them blocked or I've gotten temporarily removed because they were popping up. I wasn't doing a preload, so you have to do like an asynchronous preload. Check to see if there's an ad there before you try to show it, rather than say get the ad and then display it, because it could take like, depending on the internet connection, it could take like 10, 20 seconds. Well, I mean, it could take however long. I mean, it depends on the internet connection. So you want to have that ad loaded before you actually have to show it, which means when you show an ad, on the completion of that ad, you should already be loading the next one. And this is one of the reasons why when people say, how come I have more requests than I have impressions, it's because you should be doing that. You should be requesting more than you're actually showing. So you always have one in the barrel, and it could be that. So Mega Man 2016 is 12th. Is that really, are you just throwing that out there, or did you actually count? Aiden Max says iOS 13, Android 10, they're all having problems at the moment. I would avoid upgrading any OS at the moment. Yeah, but what kind of life is that? Dude, man, I want to try the new stuff. I've always been that way. I know so many developers are like, you telling me you upgraded Xcode? Why'd you do that? Well, because at some point I'm going to have to use it. Right? It's embarrassing when you have a client that has upgraded iOS 13 and you haven't tested it. In fact, we had that... it didn't actually go to the client. It came to me. So we had right when 2 weeks after iOS 13 came out, I had upgraded, and we have this app that went it went to the developer, said, "Oh, we tested, everything works good." Our QA says everything works well. I get it on my phone, and in 2 seconds it crashes. It crashes again and again and again, and the developer say, "Oh, that's because you're on iOS 13. You shouldn't upgrade yet." So it came out 2 weeks ago. So you have to kind of keep up with that stuff. With the development tools, yeah, I get it. I like to see what's new. I'm just eager. There's a new operating system. I want to see what it is. I want to see all the new features, and of course, some things just stop working. However, back in the day when Windows 8 came out, I was one of the first people to upgrade to Windows 8. I don't usually do the betas. I don't think I've ever done an operating system beta. I should, at least for testing. I've never done a beta of an operating system. However, I did Windows 8 as soon as it came out. I upgraded that day, the release day, and I hated it. After a month, I had to do all this stuff to go back to Windows 7, and I had Windows 7 for years until I actually moved to the Mac. And I know my kids, they are all still on Windows 7, mainly because it's so expensive, and they didn't do the upgrade to Windows 10 while it was free. But anyway, Pork Pie Software says, "Hello from New Zealand, 6:10 a.m. here. Please remind me of your name and what you make." So, Pork Pie Software, my name is Eric. I make apps. Thank you. Did I say that? I don't know if I said that, because I've been sorting around with the OBS and Catalina. Oh, by the way, yeah, and again, I'm late starting the live stream today, but I have to go pick up my son. This is a normal thing. Every Friday night now, it used to be every Friday night was pizza. Now it's me making a long drive. So last weekend I didn't have to make the drive, but the weekend before I drove to Portsmouth to pick up one of my kids. Tonight I'm driving to Cheltenham to pick up another one of my kids, and I think we're going to go see Terminator, the new Terminator movie, which apparently is better than the others, but I think it's not saying much. But has anybody seen the new Terminator movie? Because I think I'm going to go see that tonight. It's either going to be that or Midway, and I'm tempted by Midway because I'm of that age. I'm of the History Channel age now. I need to start watching that stuff. Let's see. Sorry, way behind. Rodrigo says camera flickering has to do with the lights, the frequency of that camera frequency. Yeah, I know. I've had this for a while, the frequency, and I used to have a program which I can adjust the settings of the webcam. That's not working on Catalina for some reason. So hopefully by next week, I just didn't really anticipate all these kind of issues. So the flickering's kind of bad. Adam Major is here. Adam Major is in the house. Bizwajit says, publish my space shooter game also on Itch.io and Amazon App Store. What's Itch.io? What? You know what? I'm getting a bit worried that I'm just going to become a pundit. I need to keep up with it. I'm trying to keep up with everything. I've been reading all the news about there's rumors coming up on Android 11 that they're going to support wireless ADB. There's some really good articles that I want to talk about in upcoming videos. In fact, this week I might try to, well, not Sunday, but I got a video already for Monday, and I might try to go at least for the next couple weeks, try to do more than just 3 days a week, because I miss it. I think part of me, like, I think back to when I was doing the daily video. I was happier then. I was busy, but I felt like I was doing something. And I feel like, get back into doing these daily videos. And I know, when I start doing them daily, everyone says, like, as soon as I started doing them more frequently, I got a comment that said, "You've already covered this topic." And I thought, damn, I did, didn't I? So, let's see. Yeah, it's at 50 hertz flicker. It's not bad. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So, Mega Man 2016 iOS 13 is a nightmare. I haven't been... So, iOS 13 I haven't had too many problems with. I like the iPad OS, which is on my iPad here. I like iPad OS. So, I haven't had too much trouble with iOS 13. It's mainly Catalina that's giving me trouble with all these other apps. Julio Cruz, happy Friday to you too. Apavelli, happy Friday. Is it really worth publishing iOS apps as an indie dev? Yes. Yeah, it is. I mean, so a lot of our applications, we were getting more downloads per individual. The downside as an indie dev is that you have to pay for the Mac. You have to have these Catalina issues. You have to, like, the Mac is expensive. The iOS devices are expensive. And a lot of people will say they're overpriced, and I tend to agree. The only reason I am not a Mac guy, like a lot of people, like I'm not a Mac fanboy at all. I'm not an Apple fanboy. I do like the phone, and I've been thinking about getting the iPhone 11 just because I need it for testing, and it's so much easier. Like, I could pick up Android devices fairly cheap, right? I'm not so worried about Android as I am about iOS stuff. Because Android, you have a problem and you get a stack trace. iOS, you have a problem and it just crashes and you get nothing. I mean, but it's also like it's a huge market depending on which country you're in. I think globally, we had a look at this on a video last year, and we should have a look at it again. Like, globally, Android is like 80% of the market share globally. But if you look at it by country, I think in the UK it's almost 50-50. In the US it's 50-50. And for me, a lot of my revenue was coming from the US. So in fact, let's have a look at that. I think it's called Stat Counter. If we have a look, Stat Counter. I'll show my screen here in a second. Hopefully that works. Hopefully, Catalina. So there's this really good site here if you want to check on this. Nope, it doesn't work. All right. We aren't doing screen shares today. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So I guess we're not gonna be able to do any screen shares today. But Stat Counter is a good one to see. Like, you can check the operating systems, and it's really kept up to date. So you can see how Android is taken over from iOS on market share globally. Let's see. Mega Man 2016 says, like button smashed, and I'll have to watch the rerun. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Mega Man. Yeah, don't forget to like that. Smash that like button, or like the smash button if you can find it. So let's see. Weather Action says, do you have better ad RPMs later in the year? I constantly see this trend. Yeah, and I think the reason Weather Action is because it's Christmas. A lot of people are going to be advertising during that time, and it's the most magical time of the year. It's nice to see your revenue go up because there's a lot more ads going through, a lot more advertisers and everything. So, and that's, I don't do website ads, or I guess we have YouTube ads, but I don't control that. I think it's probably the same. I would imagine it's the same on every advertising platform, that you just have more people wanting to push their goods for Christmas, so you're going to have more ads going out. Christopher Enrigbo says, Eric, do you choose what country to localize? Oh, sorry. I missed it. How do you choose what country to localize next? So what I did when I localized is I just went through and I found I think I did the top 10 countries first on EarSpy. And I really try to be strategic about it. Like, not strategic. I try to, So when I don't do that research, I think about countries that have large populations or large or that language is spoken in many places. So I know there's a difference between Spanish in Mexico and Spanish in Spain, but it's still spoken in it's spoken in multiple places, all through South America. Well, nearly all through South America except for Brazil. So I figured Spanish is one of my top ones. Portuguese, because Brazil is big, and I would not have thought of that before, because it was mainly because I got so many downloads from Brazil. Like, it was just surprising, right? I do Russian just because, I mean, Russia's huge. There's a lot of app users there. I've done Chinese just because, and Chinese, especially on Android, with Google Play, doesn't have a lot there. I mean, but, and then I did Japanese. So on my language learning games, I actually went through on Upwork and had all these words translated, like the in-app words and then also the vocabulary words used within the game. I added Spanish to Chinese, simplified and traditional, Russian, Portuguese, Spanish, and Korean. Korean was a big one too. I didn't do Japanese. It was Korean that I did. So, and that was just, and for some reason the Russian one does really well. Like, I get all these, especially like for Polish Bubble Bath, which is one of the games so people could study their Polish. That one is in, the Russian version of that does better than the English version of it. So, you know, bonus, I picked one. I picked a good one. But those are the ones that I think as being the big ones. And if you go through, I remember looking at a Wikipedia page in the top languages of the world. Now with EarSpy, when it started getting like really good, I went through every language. I went down and copied every language that's available on Google Play, even Afrikaans and Vietnamese and all this stuff. And that, you know, that was surprising, but it was administratively difficult because I had to go through, and I could have given this to somebody else, but I kind of thought, you know, it's difficult to give like multiple language stuff to somebody else and expect them to get it right. So you just like do it yourself. Like, I know the placeholders. So I had a spreadsheet where I would have, and I would show you my screen, except, you know, can't show my screen today. So I had a spreadsheet where I just put all the strings in there, all the strings that were used within the app, and into a spreadsheet, and it had multiple columns. And you could use Google Translate and just use the Google Translate function on Google Sheets, but it sucks, right? So I mean, it works well, but it's not accurate. So then I went through and I sent this off to all these different people on Upwork, and I was like $5 a language, and some people would take, and then I did it on those. And some languages where that I couldn't find somebody to do it for $5, so I'd pay a bit more. So like Japanese and Swedish were two really difficult ones to get done with that. So Fist 007, hey, how's it going? Julio Cruz said, should ads revenue be getting better already for the end of the year spike? What is it? It's November. I would think it should be improving. You should start to see it improving, but definitely in December. Windows 10 is awesome, says Fist 007. Yeah, I see. I keep seeing people with Google Service, Windows Surface, right? And I remember thinking Windows Surface just looked like, especially after Windows 8, I was really kind of fed up with Microsoft. I was working. I upgraded to Windows 8. I was doing a lot of work on .NET, I like .NET. C# is my favorite language, but the consultancy I was working for went into SharePoint development, and I hated SharePoint. SharePoint was just a pig. I hated SharePoint. Even today, right? I have nothing good to say about SharePoint. I think it's unimaginative as a software platform, whatever. Actually, maybe it's gotten better today. I know they got Office 365 and everything now, but I'd really gone off Microsoft. So when I saw the Surface, I think I was kind of jaded a little bit. But now when I see people using the Surface, it looks like it'd be a really good tool. I mean, I've got my iPad Pro, which is nice, and I've got my laptop, and I've got, you know, my iPhone. God, maybe I am an Apple fanboy. But it's mainly just to mix the different ones together, right? You know, Apple Maps sucks. Siri sucks. Like, they just... so I like the Google tools. However, I like the way that the Surface is like, it's a tablet and your computer, right? It's not like there's two different things, and I hate the fact that that's the case with iOS and Mac OS. Um, Supreme Cat Sport says, hello, I have an app, Go Scholar Information and Article Search. It was published on 1 November and has gained 371 installs. Yeah, cool. We looked at that last week, didn't we? Let's see. I want to increase its installs and rank. Please tell any tips. It would be useful. So, yeah, I mean, like, it would be good if we could have a look at it on the screen, but I'm having trouble with that. Hopefully next week I'll have all of these issues resolved with OBS so that I can show you my screen. But I did a video called, I mean, it's back from, I need to update this video, but it's like how to increase Google Play downloads. And I did it back in 2015, but a lot of those principles still apply. Right? You're looking for the keywords. How are people going to find it? What kind of things are people searching on? So you can even something as simple as typing in your search terms into Google Play, into the Google Play Search Console, and you get the suggested ones, so you know what other people are searching for. And if you can take some of those keywords and put them into your content too, that might be good. Trying to get the installs up. I mean, it's not just the keywords; it's the installs and the relevance of the application. So Google Play, you have to think about how the algorithm works. The algorithm works it doesn't work for the developers. The algorithm works for the downloaders, right? They want people who are searching for what they want to be able to give them the right thing. So Google Play algorithm looks for the keywords because, you know, if all things being equal, like if we all started today, the one with the best keywords would win. But that's not the case. So you have some people who have millions of downloads already and thousands of reviews, and they're 4.8 star reviews and all this kind of stuff. It's gonna be difficult to knock them off the top spot until you start to get a bit of street cred, and that's not gonna happen until you start getting the downloads and people leaving reviews too. So if that's the case, if somebody's searching for a keyword that's really saturated and you got somebody who has that top spot, then you might want to go for something that's synonymous or slightly different and some other way to get in there, some untapped search term. Those are just some of the things. And then look at so one of the things I didn't talk about on that 2015 video about how to increase Google Play downloads, because it didn't exist yet, was you have the user acquisition report now. So the people who are finding your site, you can see how many people are hitting the store page, the Play Store page, versus how many people are actually downloading. So that'd be your conversion rate, right? And then of those people downloaded, how many people are actually purchasing in it. So that's really key stats. But it's thinking how people find that. So don't just look at the download numbers. Look at that user acquisition report, because you can see, okay, we're the ABC. I always say the ABCs. Step number one is they have to be able to find it. They have to know that it exists, or that they're searching for it and it has to show up in search rankings. That's number one. And for that, you're looking at keywords. You're looking at backlinks for the rankings. You're looking at the whole way that you're ranked. And then also the icon has to look good. So if it's showing up amidst however many icons and it's somewhere near the top, then is it enough to draw the eye to it, right? So that's step one. Step two is they hit the page. So they thought enough of it to click on it and they're looking at it. So, but they click the download. That would be the conversion rate on that. So on that stage, you're looking at the screenshots primarily. You're looking at the description. So are they looking at it? If you have a video, is the video any good? And then they're actually downloading the application, and that's the bit that you want to do. So if you just look at the downloads, you're kind of taking those two steps together and merging them, and it's not really a good indicator, right? So if it could be you got lots of traffic to your page and nobody's downloading, right? And then why is that? At least then you have some sort of control over it. It's out of Google's hands. Now if you use advertising as well, you kind of bypass that whole algorithm thing, get people straight to your page if your ad is good and they click on it and you pay for the clicks and everything. So those are just some of the things. But Christopher Onobo said, oh my gosh, follow-up question. Do your kids have English accents? They do have English accents, but they're my kids. Like, I don't think about it that way. In fact, I'm so used to the English accent that, and most people, like even now, if I go out, people will ask, how long you here for? Where's the accent from? I think I've been here a while. That everyone says Canadian first. I say, well, I'm American, but I think my accent has probably softened over the last 20 years. So, but they still, like, nobody ever thinks I'm English. So, but my kids, yeah, they have English accents. But they're like, it's like anybody accent. Like, you notice the accent first, and once you get to know somebody, it's like the accent doesn't exist. That's just the way that person sounds. So, Fist 007, for Electron being banned by Apple Mac OS App Store is a very hard blow. There are some major apps based on Electron. VS Code is one of them. Oh, really? So, yeah, but you know what? I can remember... See, one of the things that bothered me about Apple being able to do this was what they did with Flash. And I know every time... When I did that video about Ionic, I said, well, there were a lot of Flash developers. And when iOS came out, they were like, sorry, we're not going to support Flash. Flash is, it's a hog. It's a bad experience for the device and all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't like you would have thought there's strength in numbers. Like, surely they got to make some sort of, like, capitulate at least a little bit, right, to allow Flash onto iOS devices. But no, they didn't. Screw it. HTML5 took off like crazy. Like, I think HTML5 did a lot better because iOS said, hey, we're not going to support Flash, right? And now, when was the last time you saw a Flash site? And I made that, I talked about that on the Ionic video. And again, people would say, yeah, but that's not the same thing because Flash was rubbish, Flash was whatever. But, however, when Apple did a couple years ago, when they did come out with that rule 4.2.6, which basically said they wouldn't allow wizard-generated apps on the App Store, they would start rejecting it because if it looked like it was wizard-generated. Sites like AppyPie and Good Barber and all these app builder sites, they took a hard hit. There was like change.org petitions. I think I signed one of them. They were really, because it crushed not just them as companies, all these developers out there, right? So in that situation, Apple did capitulate a little bit and they changed their language. They said you can't just have all your clients on your own App Store page, right? So that was a bit, that made me think, yeah, you know what? Maybe, they can't just turn all these developers away, right? They can't just do that. So I think with the Electron thing, I think there's going to be some sort of softening of that. They're going to come out with a new version. It's going to blow over. And but yeah, the thing about that video that I did was it's a risk, right? Like a lot of our apps are done in Corona, and every so often I think, what would happen if Corona shut down as a company? Then what would I do? Luckily, I've done a few Corona apps for clients, but that kind of stuff just. Or like, when the 64-bit requirement came out, again, that has nothing to do with frameworks, but if you were using a library that can't be upgraded to 64-bit, then what do you do, right? And if you're on native, you don't have to worry about that so much. But however, I do know a lot of people, me, like going from Swift 1, Swift 1 is no longer supported. You need to go to Swift 4 or whatever, and you're like, God. Dude, why? I did everything you wanted me to do. I used native. I did everything you wanted me to do. Why are you complaining about using the wrong version of Swift? Not that I'm bitter. Billy, Julio Cruz, my revenue is doing really good recently. So, Fist 007, is it me or the stream freezing from time to time? Is it? Are we freezing? Oh, sorry about that, guys. I think I might be... I meant to switch it from Wi-Fi onto... so much trouble. Let's see. Sorry if the live stream is freezing for a bit. We'll power through. I'm gonna go till 6 o'clock, which is another 20 minutes, and then I gotta go get I gotta drive out to Cheltenham and see Terminator 2, or not Terminator 2, but Terminator, whatever it is, the new one, which I hope is good. Aaron Chandran is here. Hey, how's it going, Aaron? Supreme Cat Support says, What you do is what no one does. You are doing a very good job. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The Supreme Cat Support, thanks. Every so often I think, I'm getting lazy with the videos. I need to do more videos. I need to do more stuff. You see like other... and again, I'm not a YouTuber. So I'm not a YouTuber. I'm an app developer. It's scary. Every so often, I get tempted by maybe I could just do YouTube all the time, because that's what I really like doing. It's more fun than doing, the day-to-day work. But I think, well, then the day-to-day work is why I could talk about what I talk about, right? It's like, it's so. But I appreciate it. So when I see other YouTubers that were doing kind of the app thing, and they're like, their channels go from 0 to 100,000 subscribers overnight, I'm like, shoot, man, what am I doing wrong? But I appreciate all you guys watching. I really do. This is doing the live stream every week is the most fun part of my week. Let's see. Bring the daily back. Yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to do the daily. But then when I was doing the daily, sometimes they're gonna suck. But you know what? Well, you know what I found when I went from daily to twice a week? They still sometimes they suck. might as well suck every day, and then maybe increase the odds of having a good one from time to time. Supreme Cat Sports says, I'm going to release my app Go Scholar information and article search on the Apple App Store very soon. Any tips? When you go to the Apple App Store, you have to put the keywords in there. So think about the keywords you want to go in the keywords field, and put it out there. See how it does first. And you have to sign it and everything. The first time you release an Apple, like if you haven't released an iOS app, it could be a bit like, it's just some of the things you have to sign it in multiple places. I did a video a couple years ago about how to release an app to iOS, and I might do that one again too. I'm really every time I do a video on something that I've talked about before, I get a lot of grief about. So a lot of the things I keep trying to think of something new to talk about. But I think I need to go back and revisit some of those earlier videos, because things have changed. Google Play has changed a lot in the last 5 years. 5 years. So yeah, Google Play has changed a lot in the last 5 years since I started doing videos. Same with iOS, or the iTunes Connect or App Store Connect. Even the names changed. That's how much it's changed. But that would be good. So let's see. Pork Pie Software says, the one they call Eric the maker. Consider like by the one they call Eric the maker of I am Eric, maker of apps. Good evening. Good evening. I am Eric, maker of apps. Don't forget to smash the like button, says Julia. See, in Algeria, iOS is like 0.3%. Wow. Let's see. Sorry, I'm behind on these questions. Do you guys ever get tired of just me apologizing? A lot of people do. Let's see. Supreme Cat Sport says, where do you get more profit, and which would you recommend, Apple App Store or Google Play Store? I think you should try both. Apple App Store, if you can make it work, they're more likely to make in-app purchases on Apple App Store. You don't get any source, and they'll say that, right? Android is a lot more mature than it was before, and people will make in-app purchases through Android. But on iOS, they have a lot. Well, it's unfair to make a generalization, but on iOS you have a lot more people with higher budgets. They have more disposable income. They went out and bought this expensive phone, and they'll do that. So, I was doing really well. So on iOS, I've always made more on Google Play through ads and through more on ads than on in-app purchases. However, on iOS, if you look, I had fewer downloads, but more revenue compared to like the number of users. Like more people were willing to make purchases. And if you look, I just read an article recently. I wish I kept it. Julia sent it to me this week, and it was about how on Apple people are still making more purchases on iOS, right? Which pains me, because I'm thinking, like I said, I'm thinking about getting a new iPhone, the iPhone 11, because it's got a better camera. I can do better videos with it, and I probably should have the latest version of stuff, because clients keep asking, "Have you tested it on the iOS iPhone 11?" I'm like, "No, I haven't. I need to get one of those." However, I want to get another Google phone. I hate Apple Music. I hate Apple Maps. We've covered this. And I think it's just because I've been part of the Google ecosystem for so long, and I've been an Android user I started off as an iPhone user. I had the iPhone 3G, and then I went from that to like several Android phones over the years. And when I released my first app, I was not interested in going on an iPhone at all. I thought I'm just going to do Android only because I like Android. And then luckily I did go the iPhone route too. And when I get clients, they want to do both. They want to do both Android and iPhone. So it's good to know both markets. Edward. Hey, how's it going? Adam Major says ASO and good icon. Also answering that. Let's see. Jake Walter said, "What are your latest projects?" I've got a few client projects on. I don't have any personal projects at the moment, so I keep starting them. I mean, I started doing a quiz engine, just using Node.js and doing the API, and it was one of these kind of things I did on my own. So I never really finished it. Like I didn't give it to the developers, and it's like there's some things I'm like I'm so sure of this, I'm going to invest in it, hire the developers to do it and everything. And there's other things where I'm thinking I just want to see how this would work. And I was looking at all the different, like there's all these pre-made API engines out there. For the life of me, I can't remember what the names of them are, but they're like you could go through and it's almost like having it's like having the entity framework kind of in .NET, but having it through so you can go through and say, this is my person object, and you add your properties to it, and it will create that in the database, as opposed to doing it, creating your own data model and your own user objects and stuff like that. And creating your own user objects, your own data model, is probably far more efficient. It's like using WordPress. WordPress has to do all kinds of stuff and it has to check all these things. And most of the time, really, all you need is a static the result is a static HTML page, but it's got to do all these checks, all these plugins and everything, and check a bunch of stuff in the admin side that you may not be needing in that one call, but it does. And I think that's probably how some of those things would work. But that's rambly. If you know what I mean, let me know. Roman Sisic, hey Roman, says, hey Eric, do you have any clients that request stuff from Android NDK, C or C++? No, I haven't. I've got some stuff on I've got a couple things on Android NDK of my own, but I don't have any clients that request that. In fact, a lot of the times the clients don't request the technology at all, and that's kind of left up to me. However, there's a video going out tomorrow where I talk about how one client, I did a quote for them in Flutter, just thinking I think this would be good for Flutter. I want it to be cross-platform, and they said they preferred to be Xamarin, and so we weren't able to do that because I was looking for Xamarin developers, and I know some of you guys out there are Xamarin developers, but it was like they had a quick turnaround for the quote, and in the end I passed on it. But most of the time they don't clients don't come to me with that granular level, and if they do, to be honest with you, Roman, sometimes if they come to me and they're too technical, it kind of puts me off a bit because that's the value that I add to the process, right? I don't want to be a code monkey, and I don't want to hire code monkeys. I want to be able to recommend the best solution, and but sometimes they do. So sometimes they'll come and more often it's not that they want NDK or something in the app specifically. More often it's like they have their back-end systems in Microsoft Azure, or it might be in AWS, and so they want to have something that suits that as a back-end. Or maybe they'll have, we have one where there's a WordPress Shopify WooCommerce back-end. So that kind of stuff. So then it's like looking for the right. It's always like me. It's always like me going in and either sourcing it or trying to do it myself. This week, it was really cool. I had this one of the things I was working on last weekend, a client project. It came to me, and I just had to migrate something from one platform to another in Objective-C and iOS. And I was like, I spent about 3 hours on it on Sunday, and I just so I went on Upwork, found somebody, did it in 1 hour, and just it was really, it's really cool. Like sometimes your tendency is just think, I want to do this myself, and you learn a lot from it, but sometimes it's easier to just get somebody who's an expert in that thing. I don't know why I told you guys that. Tom. Hey, Tom, how's it going? Tom says, hey, Eric, great show as always. Yeah, it's funny to think of this as a show. Coming up next is, we're going to break for a commercial announcement. A great show as always. Would you recommend using mediation within AdMob or use a different mediation tool? Don't know where to start. Thanks, all the best. I've only used mediation in AdMob. I know that is MobFox the one? What's the one? There's another one that's really, MoPub. MoPub is the one. I think it's MoPub or MobFox. God, why do they all sound the same? Yeah, it's been a while. So that was one I was tempted to use, but I went with the AdMob. And one of the reasons I did the same. It's funny how many developers I talk to have the same mentality. It's like, I'm going to use mediation to force Google to give me better ads, so that they know that I ain't messing around. Like, I'm gonna, they better give me some higher RPMs, otherwise it's going to some of these other guys. And I don't think that actually worked. But Biswajit says, just one more update for my game, then I'll do ads to boost installs. Yeah, I mean you don't want to, if you do ads, Biswajit, do like a really low. I mean, I've said this before. Don't go all in on ads. Go like $5 a day or something, and look for the cost. Look for the conversion rate on it, because your ad might not be good enough, right? Your ad might be, play around with different stuff. Think about what is going to entice the users. Don't just say this is a fun game, for example, or say I use this example all the time, but I had the Vietnamese bubble bath, and it was like to learn Vietnamese. So it was like a Facebook ad. It was targeting people who wanted to speak Vietnamese, or people who had Vietnamese kids. I can't remember what it was. Teachers, Vietnamese teachers. And the first one was just a game. It was like Vietnamese bubble bath. Improve your Vietnamese skills, whatever. And it didn't do that great. But then I went a different way and asked a question in it, like, what does what's the Vietnamese word for cinema, right? Answer in the comments. So the people were doing it, they were seeing that, and they were responding because it would help them show that they know it. But every time they were responding to it, then that ad was getting more interaction, and it was, of course, sharing, and it was it becoming more. It wasn't just an ad; it was a piece of content. It was a piece of boosted content that could get spread a bit more. And of course, at the end, it talked about the Vietnamese bubble bath. Learn more in Vietnamese bubble bath, improve your skills. So that was something that it helped spread a lot more organically, because I was trying to get them to comment on that ad. And that's specific to Facebook, but it's tweaking that kind of stuff and playing around with it and trying to think, this works, what does? And there's so many resources out there to Google, like how to do a proper Facebook ad, or how to write copy. And I've got like this, I'm always trying to read things about copywriting. I've got a book over on my desk, which I just need to get. I started reading it like a month ago, and I've only got a couple chapters into it, which Rifat Erdem's recommended to me, called it's Joseph Sugarman's Copywriting, Ad Week Copywriting something, and I'm still going through that. I've only went the first through, and you learn things as you go, like what's the best way to, what are the words, what kind of words you should use. But so start small, Biswajit, is what I'm saying. Let's see, As If Gaming, I love it, As If. Best way to find app ideas, big fan from India. Oh, cool. Best way to find app ideas, I think, if you see, a lot of people will say just go to the top charts and look there, but everybody's doing that. For me, if you look at the top charts, everybody will be doing the same thing. And the biggest successes I've had were thinking about things just around me. Like the Ear Spy idea came to me because I was sitting in the office, and I wanted to hear what other people were talking about, so that was the kind of thing where that was came to me. I mean, just be open to the idea of things that come through, and look around you, and you'll see things, and sometimes you'll have ideas that other people have already had, because I've done that a lot, like where you think, what would be really cool is if you had something like a maintenance application where you would have people who work on equipment, and they would get a push notification saying check this equipment every hour. They take a picture of it, GPS coordinates, all that kind of stuff, and then you look around and you think that does exist, but just because it exists doesn't mean it's done well, or the fact that you haven't heard about it means it might not be marketed as well either. Let's see. Joshua Jysteen says, Jysteen says scope for iOS developers. Scope for iOS. Is that a tool? Benjamin, I'm gonna be there soon, says you should switch over to Linux. Yeah, I want to be a Linux developer. I want to be a Linux guy so bad. Except it's like I'll just be a pure Linux guy. I'm just gonna have Linux, and I'm gonna have I want to have a big ass desktop computer with 128 gigs of RAM, a whole bunch of virtual machines on it for when I need them. I want it to be like liquid cooled. I want to have 8 screens in front of me. I want to be like that guy, like just slouch down in a seat and have like everything perfect customized, right? But then every time I use Linux, I run into something that I need to use I need to use Microsoft Word because a client sends me a Word document and I need to open it. And I know I can use LibreOffice. I know I can use OpenOffice, but a lot of times the formatting's not right, or I'll have something that's not right. Even now, even on a Mac, sometimes people will send me a spreadsheet and they have macros in it, and I can't run the macros, so I have to run a virtual machine in order to run the spreadsheet that they send, which is annoying. Let's see. But I don't know what scope for iOS developers means, Joshua. Is that a tool? Let's see. Is that a spam? Let's see. Prince Raj is from India. Hey, Prince Raj, how are you? Shamsula Darman says, hello, Eric. My app is a third-party app and has call, storage, and many more permissions. How to save that from suspension? How is third-party apps policy? I've never done anything that did that. What I would do is try to. I mean, as long as you're not doing anything, if you have a really good reason for using it, then you shouldn't be suspended. Like if you could. What I would do is I would find out from Google Play, and if it's something that Google Play won't accept, then look at side loading it. I mean, because you can still. So the nice thing about Android apps is you don't need to go through the Play Store. The Play Store is how you get found. The Play Store is make you know that it's official, right? But you could, if it was something really essential for people to use, then you could set up a website and have people go to it. Or try Amazon App Store or whatever. But yeah, I've never used anything like that. I mean, the preference is to go through Google Play. Go through Google Play if you can. Let's see. Supreme Cat Sport. Do I watch anime? No, I don't. I don't really watch. I was gonna say I don't watch Mitch stuff, but I am. You know what? I chew. My vice, my biggest vice, and I've got a few vices. My biggest vice is probably fatty foods. KFC for lunch today. Oh God, I still feel a bit. Whew. I went to the gym and worked out hard this morning, and then I completely ruined it by getting KFC on the way home from a client meeting. So, but my other vice is binge watching Netflix shows. So right now I'm watching the second series of Jack Ryan, which I'm really enjoying. But I don't watch anime. But I used to like when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid, I used to like Robotech. That's like all I know about anime. I know it's a whole art form and there's all kinds of stuff out there, but no, I haven't though. Supreme Cat Sport. Let's see. We got. Please live stream on 2 days a week. We could live stream on 2 days a week. Supreme Cat Sport. You think that's too much? I did think when I started doing the live stream, I thought about maybe doing one on say Tuesday morning or something. So the people who can't stay up this late. Or different time zones. If we do another live stream, that might be kind of fun. I mean, because then I could do daily on the other days, and get back into it and then do the live stream. Thinking about the live stream is, I think if anybody's watching this in rerun, I think it's got to be so boring when you can't see the questions and everything. And please shift the day shift from Friday to Sunday. It might be Tuesday. I was thinking Tuesday because. I mean, I got all these meetings and stuff. I always have my schedule just fills up so quickly. Coding with Chip. Chip, I'm glad you made it. I see the waves on your video. New neon lights. No, it's because I upgraded to Catalina, and I can't adjust the webcam settings anymore. for some reason. Rodrigo says, isn't the Electron app problem something really specific? I don't think it's Electron apps being banned. Not sure though. I think it's something to do with the core APIs or the fact. I think it's the platforms using Chromium. Let's see. I'm thinking of using Swift for iOS apps and Flutter for Android apps. Why not? See, Chip. Is there a reason for that? Is there a benefit from using Swift on iOS? I mean, the nice thing about with Flutter, one of the things that I feel better about with Flutter doing is that I think Google, since it's a Google thing, right? Android should always support it, right? That's what you'd think, right? But iOS not so much. So that might be, maybe that would be a good room. YS6425 says it's good. Thank you. I'm not sure what you said. Let's see. BizYG says game links in the description of my channel if anyone wants to try it. Cool. Byram Enoch says, why are you creating spy apps? I created spy apps, and I haven't created, we had a few spy apps because it interested me. Like when I was a kid, and again, a lot of them have been removed. So AirSpy is still on iOS, and I've removed them. But you know what? What excited me was when I was a kid. I like James Bond movies. I like the idea of being able to hear things you don't like. It's not like the spy apps were really simple. Like there were toys at Toys R Us that would do what my apps did. Right? It wasn't like I was. I didn't have anything that was really nasty and broke the rules. And it was just like, the people would ask me all the time, can you do an app where I can find out what my wife's typing on WhatsApp, or can you do an app that will so I can find out where my husband is at all times? Like, no, we can't. And that's creepy, right? But just being able to hear 10 feet further to me was that would be really cool. That would be something that James Bond would have. Like reading I used to read the books, the James Bond books when I was in high school. And when I joined the army, they sent me they asked me if I wanted to be in military intelligence, and I thought, yeah, be a spy. That would be awesome. So I've always been interested in spy stuff and language learning. So that's a lot of my apps were that to begin with. So, and I did some meditation apps. I did one meditation app, which it sucked. But I got a lot of language learning apps. So they sent me to school to learn Chinese Mandarin. So that was so I like language learning and I like spy stuff. And I still like the idea of knowing more than anybody else does. And I can't wait for the next James Bond movie. I can't, I just like everything about it. But that's why I do it. I mean, because it's fun. YS6425 says, how do you get the first 500 users for a new app? Again, it's a basic ASO. It's ASO, and just getting people in. And we tell you, ASO is App Store Optimization. So make sure you, and it's not a trick. It's not like a secret. It's just you want to optimize the App Store so that your app is easy to find for anybody who wants to find it. You have the right keywords, and we talk about this stuff all the time. But another thing you do is ads. You can run some ads and get it in front of people. All right, there's two different ways of doing it. You got people could either find it through search, means they're already searching for it, or they can find it because they hear about it from some other means. So you have an ad, or you have some sort of you put flyers out. I mean, it could be anything, right? The goal is to get people to your Play Store page or your App Store page, and then once it gets there, then the hard bit is done. Hopefully, then you can show them screenshots. You show them how cool this app's going to be when they download it, etc. Let's see. Adam Major says, if you have a well-functioning version of the cross-platform application made in Flutter, why do you natively on iOS and Flutter and Android? Yeah, that was my question too. For coding with Chip. Fist 007 says, I was thinking about how would you handle automating unit tests from different devices and OS versions. So one thing that we haven't really done much of, but I need to get into, is using device farms. So you got Amazon has a device farm, and you can write unit tests, automated unit tests, and upload it and have it run on multiple devices. And you pay per minute, I think, on these devices. And so there used to be one called, it used to be called App Thwack, and it was bought by Amazon. I think it's called Amazon Mobile Device Farm, and it's just one of many of those. So that's one thing you could do. Let's see. Adam Major says, Flutter is not WebView framework like Ionic, so ban in Apple is less likely. I agree with that. I don't think. I feel more comfortable with Flutter than I do with the WebView. But you never know. Coding with Chip says, you never know. You never know. But yeah, it's a risk. There's always risks, right? There's it's just, and I'm not saying don't use Ionic. I never said that. I never said don't use Ionic. So we're not using it because I'm scared, and then eventually I soften towards it. Sebo Play says, hi Eric. App revenue is not consistent. It certainly is not something to rely on in the future. What are your thoughts about where to invest money made from apps? What would you do? Thank you. So, for me, the app revenue was strangely consistent until I got one of my biggest apps suspended. But if you look at my revenue, my daily revenue report, it's about £30 a day. It's between 25 and 35. Sometimes it'll go up to 40. So it's just this. It's so consistent for me, but you never. But again, you don't like. It could disappear tomorrow. Who knows? If you get suspended, it does disappear the next day, as many of us will have found out the hard way. So there's lots of things you can do. Like when you're doing an app and you're actually getting users in, there's different ways. One thing that I've tried, and I was building a list. So having some sort of newsletter within your application that people could go through and register, and then that way you could try to remarket them with other things. I did that to where I had a list which grew really, really well, and I had like 20,000 subscribers on this email list, and I never sold them anything. I was like really, like in the end, I was like, I kept trying to go on ClickBank and do all the internet marketer stuff, but I never did anything like that. In the end, I just removed that functionality because I thought, okay, so that kind of works. But that's one thing you could do. So if you are getting people in, you can think about other ways that you can sell to them. And the same way that people on YouTube will try to sell you on their course or their affiliate links or whatever. There's something you could try to do. And you're trying to get attention on all these kind of things. You're trying to get people in, and you're getting all that attention. So what are you going to do there? And now that you got subscriptions and apps are much more common, that you do have that opportunity of having more consistent revenue. Mikado Studio says, Eric, what do you think about selling the same app but multiple clients? For example, news app, when you look at it, the news app are the same. I think Mikado Studio, that's like a common model though. Like being able to produce something once and then selling it and customizing it for each of your clients is something that you could do. I'm not doing as much as we should, but yeah, that's something that you could do. But you don't want to. What you want to do is make sure that it's custom for them. Like I don't think that's sneaky, as long as you're upfront about it. Let's see. Rodrigo says, just published a new Cordova plugin to NPM while watching Eric. Cool. What was it? It was conceived on the live stream. Which one is it, Rodrigo? I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to wrap up here really quick because I gotta get going. So after Coder Python is Coder Python comment there, we're gonna go. We're gonna have to wrap things up. But let's see. BizYG. Okay, so. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Cody with Chips says, anyone try Swift UI? Is it any good? And they made a lot of changes this week, haven't they? Or they announced some changes just recently on Swift UI. I have not used it. I had a quick look at it, but I need to get into it because Swift UI, when I was looking at it, looks a bit like Flutter, or is it a bit like, so not so much a different language like the nib files, which I hate, but it's a lot more coding based, isn't it? Again, I only looked at it briefly, so I could be talking out my butt. Ada Max says, I see that Apple are trying to copy Amazon, where user pays a fixed monthly fee to the platform and Apple will pay the developers depending on which apps are used. Google will do the same, perhaps. Yeah, isn't there Google Points or something that they're announcing? That's kind of a yeah. I mean, yeah. Amazon had that coins thing where you had that subscription based stuff. Let's see. Saeed Luxari says, which is better for creating apps from scratch or do reskinning? Reskinning used to work, and people were like, they went crazy with reskinning, and you don't see very many reskinning sites out there anymore. I think it's harder to do reskinning than you think, but you could purchase code and then customize it, but just reskinning it itself is not going to be enough. I mean, you got to think about, why would somebody come to your app when there's another one? I mean, you're just trying to put something out there that's the same, and it's not like any other business where, like, if I see a really cool shop in another town and I want to do the exact same thing here but different, that I could. It's like you're in the same vicinity. If somebody's searching for it, they're going to come up to that one first. So I haven't found reskinning to work very much. I know back in like 2012, 2013 when I got started, there was a lot of people in reskinning. Some of them were very successful at it. But I haven't heard any success stories in the last 3 or 4 years. But there may be some. So if you guys are, somebody out there is killing it with reskinning, let us know. Let's see. JC says, hello from Jamaica. Really love your shows. So informative. Thanks, JC from Jamaica. I need to come out there and visit you, dude. I need to get out of Wantage. I need to get out of this town. We go on tour with a live stream. We got 36 people on this live stream. Now, that's enough. That's enough for a tour, right? Go visit all you guys. YS6425 says, is it important for an app to be native? Also, to have a web-based platform. It's not. I don't think it's important for an app to be native. I don't think native apps do better on the App Store. I think they might be a bit more responsive depending on how it's coded, but you got a lot of like framework-based apps that are also very good. Like, they're very responsive. It depends on how you code it. Like, if you're doing things asynchronously, or if you have like a big long list, if you're like loading it as the list goes through, there's lots of stuff you could do rather than do that. So I think like with Ionic is always, well, sorry, not just Ionic, Cordova-based apps, like starting with PhoneGap, they always had this stigma of being not as responsive as native applications. But I think a lot of that has to do with like just bad coders, right? A lot of bad coders do stuff on there. So I think you could do a lot with it, but Rodriguez said, I have a quarter of that, Eric. Linux 32-bit liquid cooling, etc. That's what I want. I want like a good solid. I want a machine. So when I edit videos and they render, it just takes forever. Sometimes like I have to go get lunch or something. Like I'll edit the video and I try to be So I try to alternate between days at the desk here and then like when I go outside. So like I filmed one today. I filmed a bit of it on my GoPro. I filmed a bit of it on my my Canon camera, and then I can't find the GoPro. I don't know what I do with it. I'm so disorganized. Let's see. Mark Curtis. Hey, Mark. Cool show again tonight, Eric. Where's the cool specs from last week, dude? You know what? I think I left them in the car. Already 1 week in, and I've already stopped wearing my glasses all the time because they're varifocals, and I'm just like I walk around like I'm spaced, I'm trying to look like I'm smart. Go and meet with clients, try to look like I'm smart, know what I'm talking about. I can't be like, every time I look at something, I got this, dazed look on my face because I'm trying to get used to the varifocals. Kumar Ashok as Singh. Hey, Kumar. Sir, I recently uploaded an Apple Play Store and I'm running a campaign, but then getting very less downloads. Can you help me? Any free method which is more effective? Kumar, if I could show my screen today, I would, but because I've upgraded to Catalina, I can't show my screen for some reason, which I'll figure out this week. But we could go through that next week, I hope. But yeah, look through. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. If you're running an ad campaign and it's not working, stop the app campaign immediately and then regroup. Right? There's no reason to keep spending money on something that's not working. That's why I said keep your budget low when you start. Test it out. If you're not getting the kind of response that you want to, or if like your cost per install was way too high, stop it. Think about something else. Try something else. Ada Max says, live stream is so easy to watch after the event. As you read out the chat, we know what's happening. If you didn't read it out, that would be weird. If you did read it out with accent, 5. If I read them out with accents, I don't know what guys. Look, I tried to learn Aiden. I tried to learn to. I probably told you guys. I probably told you guys everything before, but I did this. When I first moved out here, I got a tape on received pronunciation, which is like the very posh English accent, which is for actors from Audible. Like, and I was like practicing this. I thought I will just learn it like I learn a foreign language. I'll just practice a British accent, right? And it creeped everybody out. I think they may have been a bit insulted by it, like, to be honest with you. So I kind of stopped doing that. I thought, I'm just gonna, if I pick up an accent, I'll pick up an accent. I'll just talk the way that I normally talk. I know people in the past who they go like when I was living in Hawaii. I was living in Hawaii with the military, and there's this one guy. He was such a poser. Like, he tried to pretend like he picked up the Hawaiian accent. Hey, brah, how's it going, brah? Right? He's on the base the whole time. He never went off base. And he was like, hey, Howley, hey, brah, how's it going? Like, it's like, dude, just being here doesn't mean you pick up the accent. And I just so it's that kind of stuff. I don't want to be phony. I just talk the way that I talk. To be honest with you, if I went out more, I probably would have picked up an accent and talked to more people, but I watch a lot of TV. I spend a lot of time on the computer. Devinish says, Kamdar says, do you think app publishing is similar to other businesses like KDB publishing? I think there's a lot of similarities. Like doing YouTube videos, I notice a lot of similarities. I'm thinking about keywords. I'm thinking about how to get found. I'm thinking about, what kind of, how do I get people into it? When people get here, how do I get them to subscribe and smash that like button? And I'm really bad at it. You notice hardly any of my videos do I say, hey, remember to subscribe, because I always forget. And even when I say, okay, from now on I'm going to try to say this every time, I never do. And in the early days, I used to have this outro that would always say, hey, I hope you liked the video. If you do, subscribe and everything. And people say it gets annoying when they watch several videos, one after the other, or if it's on, if they're going through all of them, because they hear that same thing, so I stopped doing that. But now I do say the same thing a lot. Obviously, I say, my name's Eric and I make apps. But I used to say, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Or I'll talk to you tomorrow. And it was hard to get over that because it's the same thing. And now I realize I say the same thing every time. I say, that's it for today. I'll talk to you again next time, which is, weird. But again, I want to try to increase the frequency, right? And I need to get my mojo back. Let's see. YS6425. What type of ads work? Are you talking about for ads for getting people into your application? I would go with the ones that I think work the best are Facebook ones, but they're most expensive because the Facebook ones you could target your users much more clearly, much more accurately. John Mullahan. John, thank you for sending that link. I'm going to do a video about that link you sent me this week. Hey, Eric, not looking for any shout outs this week. Come on, man. You'll be relieved to hear. I'll catch a live stream later. I'll have a great weekend. Sleep in late even. I am going to sleep in late. Because I'm going to go see Terminator tonight. And nobody in this live stream has said, oh, it's awesome. I was like, oh, well, let's go see Terminator. Nobody's seen it, I guess. Let's see. Rodrigo said, I literally wrote my first test today after 7+ years of coding. Real test with the test framework. Wow. Fist Double said, I did about a month earlier. I know. It's almost like saying you've been to the gym. You're like, dude, I wrote a test. Yeah, I wrote a test this morning. Yeah, my code is tested. Let's see. John says, also something funny going on with your lights today. Looks like frequency of the lights in the camera frame. Yeah. Are you using new LEDs or something? Same lights, but Catalina is not letting me adjust that setting anymore. So I'm going to figure that out before next week. Fistel was saying, are you running late? Yes, I am. Coding with Python. Code with Python. So we'll go with this. Eric, my app has been ranking a lot better. Cool. Excellent. Ada Max says, if you watch the YouTube channels about marketing, they talk about creating funnels to get them to the landing page and get them the email. Do you do the same? I try to do the same, and I've got this book, one of the really good books here all about that kind of stuff is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. I mean, it's really good. We're talking about the funnel, and basically it's using ClickFunnels. But once you read the book, you start to see that everywhere, and it gets a bit, it's like, I don't know, like if, so we tried to do it with the app. So we had the, through the app where you sign, and again, I got to leave it here in a minute, but yeah, we had that through the app, building up the lists, but I never sold anything. And when you see all those landing pages, after a while, I just get tired of it. The same thing. And the same pitch, right? If you ever hear me say on a video, hey, I've got exciting news today. We're just about to unleash our new course. Normally, we'll sell this for £499, but for you, it's only $49.95. And we'll throw in this PDF, which normally costs $50, but we're going to give it to you for free. And we're also going to give you so you're talking like a 10,000 pound value, right? And you know what? We're crazily going to give, and it's just the same stuff every single time. And it's like, it's so transparent. You see straight through it, right? And that's one of the, like a year ago, I was thinking, I'm going to do an ASO course. I'm going to do a course, and then that way, people don't want to watch all my videos. We just go through the basics, right? We go through keyword research. We go through all this kind of stuff. But then it started to put me off all these other things out there. Everybody's got a course. But let's see. Rodrigo, find him on GitHub. Cool. I'm going to have to check that out later. I got to get going to Cheltenham. Let's see. YS6425, thank you. First time on live stream. Amazing. Glad you can make it. But maybe, I'm really tempted about doing a second one during the week rather than do. I want to increase the frequency of the videos, but maybe do like 2 days, maybe I'm thinking maybe 2 days live stream and then 5 days the other one. Let's see. Smash the like button. Thanks, JC. Smash the like button. JC from Jamaica. Would you do a video series on building marketing an app beginning to end? I think it would be awesome. Yeah, I thought about doing one on just releasing an iOS app. The thing is, lately I've just been doing client applications and I don't want to share their apps, so I might just do like a Hello World app and then release it through iOS. I mean, it won't get approved, but I could do the whole process there. That might be something good. And then lastly, this is the last one. So Cord Funk, you're the last person I'm going to talk to, and then I got to go. Cord Funk says, yo, Eric, done any machine learning lately? I've done none. I've been thinking maybe I should take some math courses online. I honestly don't know if I'm up for it. Maybe it'll be worth it too. Yeah, my son bought me a whole bunch of machine learning books for my birthday this year, and I haven't read any of them yet. And it's like, and I think that, I need to do it. I'm starting to wonder whether or not I should focus more on the business. See, I always have this conflict in my head because we do the client work and I hire other developers. I'm thinking, should I even be coding this? Should I even be watching these tutorials? Should I even be doing this? Or should I just say like, oh, I used to be a developer. Oh, back in the day, I used to be a developer. I used to know how to do this, but now I just hire people because I'm just blah, 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 blah. But I hate dealing with people who don't know the underlying technology. And I think it's kind of my responsibility to know how this stuff works, at least at a basic level. Like with React Native, I know how things work. I would probably be really bad at coding it, but like if something goes wrong, I could fix it. Like, or if something doesn't perform the way it should, I should know how it works. I should be able to know what it's looked like when I look at that code. And I think my grasp on technology is starting to go that way, where I'm no longer the day-to-day coder, but I need to know kind of how this stuff works at least at a high level, and even at a low level. I mean, it used to bug me when I used to have managers and project managers who just didn't understand what I was talking about when I was trying to say we have an issue, and like they could have picked up HTML5 in 24 hours and read a couple chapters and just known a lot more, and we'd have a conversation, but they didn't. So, and because they think, oh, that's not my thing. Why should I learn that? Because I'm not a developer. But it's not that hard. Let's see. Try it out. So Raymond Atvi says, first time in the live stream as well. Good. I'm glad you guys could join it here, because if you guys weren't here, I'd be lonely. I'm running a company here in Nigeria, Ref Tech Consulting. I'm bootstrapping, and you give me a lot of tips. Thank you, Raymond. That is the best thing you could say to me. if we're in the same boat, a lot of times I talk about like working with clients, and like sometimes that's just what I'm thinking about. And I know that some people don't necessarily want to hear about working with clients. Some people want to be more technical. Sometimes I try to be a bit more technical, and sometimes I just talk about stuff that's just on my mind. And I'm glad that when I do talk about clients, I'm glad it helps, Raymond. It really means a lot. Thanks. Really, not hello world, please. Real app. Yeah. Yeah, but like, so, BizYG, bye. Thanks, Billy, everybody. Hey, that's it. I'm only 25 minutes late. I got to get going. Benjamin, if you're still watching, I'm on my way. Benjamin is my son. And anyway, everybody have a fantastic week. Sorry, the whole problems with the Catalina and OBS not working. Couldn't share my screen. But thank you for joining me on the live stream. We have a video going out tomorrow on the Overpass Insights. And I'm going to try to pick up the frequency. I know I've said this before, but you know what? I got to up my game, right? I got to no more Mr. Laying About guy. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week.